The 2000s is a decade of significant change and growth in the United States. Some famous events from this decade include 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, two major elections, and new advancements in technology. This decade brought much change to the United States and highly influenced society today all around the world. Let's start with the election of 2000. In November of 2000, American citizens voted for either Republican George W. Bush or Democrat Al Gore. On Election Day, Gore significantly won the popular vote, but neither candidate had received the 270 electoral votes needed to win the election. The votes in Florida were so close, so a recount was issued to occur. The election ended up being decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, where in a 5-4 vote, George W. Bush was determined to be the 43rd U.S. president. The election of 2000 relates to the politics and power theme and represents a change because of the new president in the country. Also, George W. Bush was a Republican candidate, while Bill Clinton, the previous president, belonged to the Democratic Party, so the party in office changed, and thus policies in the nation were bound to change as well. Now, we get to the year 2001. The most famous event this year is what occurred on September 11th, 2001. This is the day the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, as well as the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and a field in Pennsylvania were attacked and destroyed by 4 planes that were hijacked by an Islamic terrorist group. The terrorists boarded 4 early morning flights set out for California on the morning of September 11th. The planes took off, and shortly after, the terrorists took control of the plane, changing the direction of the flights to the destinations in which they destroyed. The events of September 11th, most commonly referred to as 9/11, killed nearly 3,000 people. This significantly changed the U.S. economy and society. 9/11 is an example of the theme of American national identity. 9/11 is a very significant change in the national identity of America because everyone was affected by the events and life completely changed. The American people all came together, sharing similar thoughts and feelings of fear, worry, grief, and trauma, and worked together through the difficult time. The identity of America instantly changed, and new rules, such as advanced security all around, were set in place. In 2003, war against Iraq began. In March 2003, President Bush announced that U.S. forces had begun a military operation in Iraq. This invasion led to a huge war continuing through the rest of the 2000s. The United States ended the combat mission in Iraq in August of 2010 after 4,400 U.S. casualties and tens of thousands of Iraqi civilians were killed over the first 7 years of the War on Terror. This is a major change in the America and the world theme since a war between countries was occurring. The U.S., being heavily involved, experienced major change. Now, moving on to the year of 2005, the year Hurricane Katrina hit the U.S. Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast on August 29, 2005. For 1 week leading up to its arrival, meteorologists noticed its severity and sent evacuation orders. It was predicted to destroy most of the Gulf Coast area. There was heavy rain throughout the city of New Orleans, resulting in nearly 80% of the city being flooded by 9 a.m. on the day of Katrina's arrival. The storm itself caused significant damage, but the aftermath was very bad. Hurricane Katrina affected thousands of people in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath of the storm falls under the theme of geography and environment, and once again represents a significant change, specifically in the states affected and primarily in New Orleans. The land was completely destroyed as winds and waters covered the area in high quantity and speed, and it is estimated that Hurricane Katrina resulted in more than $100 billion worth of damage. Both the geography and environment were completely changed as a result of Hurricane Katrina. Now, on to the year 2007. This is the year technology changed forever with the release of the iPhone. The iPhone was the first smartphone introduced, and it became popular very quickly. The iPhone claimed to be a revolutionary mobile phone, and it lived up to that claim. With its new and exciting features, users were excited to buy it. This new piece of technology represents a change in the work, exchange, and technology theme. The iPhone changed technology because of the new features it brought. Technology in America, as well as the rest of the world, started on a completely new path because of Apple's introduction of the iPhone in 2007. In 2008, a presidential election took place once again, since Bush had served 2 terms. Democrat Barack Obama ended up winning the election against Republican John McCain with a 365 to 173 electoral vote total. Barack Obama ended up serving as U.S. president from January 2009 until January 2017. The election of 2008 also represents a change in the politics and power theme because of the new president in the nation. Similar to the politics and power change in 2000, Obama's election is a change because he was part of the Democratic Party, whereas the previous president was a part of the Republican Party. Over the whole decade, the U.S. experienced a major change that fits into the migration and settlement theme. At the beginning of the decade, the U.S. population was 280 million, and 10 years later, the population had grown to roughly 300 million. Of the 20 million new people, 14 million were immigrants that came into the U.S. during the 2000s. Also, pop culture had a major influence on the people of the United States through fashion, technology, and music. The culture and society of America was changed during the 2000s, and what is referred to as the Y2K era, or year 2000, was formed. The fashion during this era included low-rise jeans, tube tops, yoga pants, cargo pants, and layered shirts for women, and men wore leather or Letterman jackets, slim-cut jeans, and flannels. Fashion in the 2000s was influenced by the 50s, 60s, and 80s. Some popular technological advancements that influenced society in the 2000s are the iPhone, Wikipedia, and many social media networks such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Skype. As for children in the 2000s, Disney Channel was a very popular form of entertainment during the decade, and kids and teenagers found their entertainment through Disney. This relates to the culture and society theme and is a change because of the many new advancements in technology, fashion, and entertainment that completely changed the pop culture in America. The decade of the 2000s was filled with significant change that influenced society in every aspect of life. Thanks for watching this history of the 2000s.